time to transverse to the alternate plane. Yes, these things happen sometimes.
Hey. Hey. Stay with me.
Oh, here comes a plot point.
Good. Good.
Are they healthy?
Yes.
Like an ox, as you say.
I said that once!
They're shooting at us!
Of course they are.
Maneuvering out of strike zone.
Hey, stay with us.
Going.
Come on. Come on!
Gone.
I don't really need to explain this, nor do I want to. Just going to continue with what I was doing before. Next. Just going to play the mission briefings, but not listen to them, for the sole purpose of getting them out of the way. Right, does that even work? There. Well, these two unlocked correctly. These three sections I can actually do in parallel now. Oh yes, this one includes teleporters. Oh, and the hotbar is now reverted. I'm going to fix that quickly. There. I think this is correct. Oh, of course, another thing. Everything that goes through the teleporter is disconnected from everything else that it was attached to before. In this case, I think I know what would be preferable. There. No, like this. And this is redundant now. There. Also just going to increase the feed rate to maximum. Because why not? And at this point, we can just take them directly back out again. And of course, I'm going to want to put them back together again for the output. There. This is just a tutorial level. Yes, this all looks correct. And oh, and there's this mysterious fourth sector. Now for this other one, this one introduces something else entirely, which is this thing. Wanting these two separate parts. Which is actually easy because we have lasers now. It reset everything again. Oh, and the reason this is striped is because it hasn't actually been unlocked for the other ones yet. Not until I finish this level. Now, the correct way to do this, actually, I remember something now. The laser only activates on wire signal, which makes it much more controllable than the eviscerators. However, the linear nature of the lasers makes them not as good at other things. Going to want to do it this way with cutouts. And of course, though, there will be waste material, as there usually is. There, this should be complete. Of course, the waste material could potentially be salvaged to make other things, but I can't be bothered right now. There, that's that block, also unlocked now.
Well, it's you. Hello there.
I'm just going to
I
play
am
this. There must be a way to fast forward through this somehow. Oh, there. I just so managed. Wait, what am I even saying? I just so happened to manage to find a way to glitch it into doing exactly what I wanted. And now we can deal with this part, which is one of my least favorite parts. This sector has levels in it that I still haven't completed. Even with my personal setup. I already see what this is going to be like. That's 7. There, this will initialize it. And then after that, doing this thing is going to be a hassle in whatever way I do it, or however I do it. But the nice thing is that now we have these counters, which are extremely powerful. In fact, I would replace the eviscerator with the counter on the hotbar, because I use it more often. Once it's done being coated with white paint, it should be lifted for the horizontal sweep. And thankfully we now have these upside down conveyor belts, which help a lot. In fact, without those, a lot of these would be much more difficult. Now that after it's done with that part, it needs one vertical line, which can be painted by going down from the top on the other side, which requires rotators. And the way I intend on doing that is with this here. Let's see how this progresses. Actually, this should be in further. To about here, perhaps. And then the final one being here. And that should fully get it into where we need it to be for the next pass. Which should then be done like this. And then once it's done with that, it can go to the output. And at what point should it be rotated? Oh, I know, at the end portion. Or would that leave enough room? Yes. This. And so. There, that would be just enough room for it to be fit this way, and then after that it can be pushed to here, and then to the output. Simple. Now let's see how many mistakes I made. Mistake number 1. This is in the way now. So, the best way to deal with that is probably to move all of this up by 1 tile. There, now it shouldn't be in the way anymore. And this should be complete. There, didn't even need timers. Or counters, I should have said. In fact, the counter is a 1-block solution to a multi-block logic circuit that you would normally make. So for example, if I can place it correctly. One thing it can be used for is clocks. So every time something passes in front of it, it counts. And you can set it to be on every other, or every third, or every fourth count that it activates the wire output. So to visualize that, this way. And it can be set up to every 9th, or down to every 2nd. Like that. And it starts at pretending as if it has just done the first count. And so that could be for clocks perhaps, or for counting the number of inputs for synchronizing, or something like that. And normally you would need to use something like T flip-flops in order to count, or perhaps even a unary counter, which is even worse. Actually, I should show what that looks like. So if it wasn't for the counter block itself, you would need something like this in order to count. And in this case, the counter output would be here, and the counter input would be here. No, here. Yes, look at this. You'll need to go through 4 cycles each time. And there's the potential for slipping, as you see, because the return trip is so long. And so this is less than ideal, especially compared to the one block solution. But enough of that. This is complete. I think I like the teleporter levels the most. Oh, this one is only slightly more complicated than the other one. Try this way. Now this way. Oh yes, look at that. This is exactly what I was intending. So this way it's minimalist and fully automatic. Just going to increase the feed rate to maximum now. Because there's no reason not to. Now, how should I put this all together? Probably first vertical, then horizontal. And yes, this is actually perfect for that. Now try. Yes, look at that. And then after that, yeah, I can do this, which does the horizontal portion, and then that can be then lifted out of the way and deposited where it needs to go. I think doing it this way for these square pieces is much better than the stamping method. And now we have, oh, this. For this, we can use timing, which we can use the counters for. So we have lasers, counters, upside down conveyors, any other parts in this new sector? Not that I can think of. In that case, it's dual, both directions. Now I need to think of exactly how to do this correctly, especially at maximum speed, which is not even plausible. Oh yeah, I can also reduce the speed down to very low. Oh, I know how to do it. First it should let one of these through, and then there should be a system for detecting it on this side. And only once this has been completed, the first one of these, it should send the second one from here to the other way. And so it should be back and forth synchronized. And this should be raised as soon as it comes out. This music really reminds me of the original Ratchet & Clank games, which are, of course, to me, timeless classics. That looks correct. Now there should be a blocker on both ends. that is normally active on one of them, but not on the other. And the counter should count the 3 blocks coming through. Or better yet, actually. Hold on, this is going to be good. Yes. That way it requires less logic. And now this thing needs to activate once in order to initialize the whole system. And then after that it can run automatically. We'll handle the welding after we're done with all of this. One of them needs to activate first. So there needs to be a startup sequence. Which can actually be done with a special mechanism somewhere. The only question is, what kind of mechanism should I use this time? Well, I can make the welders while I'm thinking about that. Notice both ends of the machine are now identical, and the only part that won't be identical will be the initializer, which should go on this side. I have an idea for how this could work. So, actually we don't need all of this. Hold on. There. Because it's all connected. It's all one piece. There. I didn't even think about that. So one thing we could do is have this wire also activate at a very particular time and at no other time. Oh yes, and of course, these counters are really good for making delays. And so we can tune this in software instead of hardware. And what I'm going to do with this is, I'm going to use it to hold back, or actually push out of the way, a block that will be then used for the initializing process, and never again. There. And here's the timer. And I'm going to need to tune this very carefully. Yes, look at that. It sends through the first one. However, that's too much of a delay. I'm going to try to get it as tight as I can. There, perfect. And now both of the ends of the machine are working exactly as intended. There. The cycle score is horrible though. I know how to increase it, but it requires a minor alteration to the machine itself. Right here, you can detect it sooner instead of later. I really prefer to change the buttons for altering this counter. The buttons are here. There. Reversed. Hold on. And actually, prefer to have these be there. That's better. And now I can also change this on the other end. There. But now these aren't even being held up. Notice the feed rate is much greater now. And I think I can increase it this way as well. That's better. Now for this one, this is going to be slightly more complicated. It's a very specific pattern that needs to be maintained. So, one thing I can do to make this work is like this. Now try. That one final piece is going to be difficult. What if I do the dumb obvious thing and just have them all pointing towards the middle? Oh, that actually works perfectly. How should I have known that? In fact, I don't even need this last one back here. That's kind of dumb. But the pattern is maintained, as you can see. And so I can quite simply form those into their horizontal sections and then tape those together. Like this. There, now let's see if this works. Wow, minimal effort. All it requires is conveyor belts and 4 welders. Doesn't even need logic. Hold on, let's increase the feed rate. Let's see how fast this can run, theoretically. Hope it doesn't interfere. Oh, it does. Hold on. Reduce it to 10. Increase to a 12. That seems to be maintaining itself. Oh, never mind. 10, I think, is the fastest stable state we can have without interference. There. Next. There's not very much left in this section. Oh, I need to transport an entire one of these machines now. I wonder how I'm going to figure out how to do this. Look at how awkward of a shape that is. trying to think of exactly how this would work. Hypothetically. So... I wonder if the solution from last time would work this time as well. That would be bad. Almost. That shouldn't have worked, but it did anyway. So let's see. This one gets sent just before the last one of these. That's interesting. But the rest of it is as I would expect. So what we can actually do now is, in order to separate them, first let's count how many blocks are in the assembly. 9 in the bottom. That's 11 in total. So we need 11 of these. There. And the reason for this is because at the end here we're going to have this first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on every successful transport, I'm going to separate all of them into their discrete streams. There. And now I can separate this from these. And assemble them separately as modules, and then later I can put them together in their final form. I think the treads are going to be the easiest ones. Let's see how the treads work first before continuing. Yes, those are assembled correctly. Actually, I think it would be best to have the body be assembled on the other side instead. And the top of this should be kept on this level, since this is actually the correct level for it, and forwarded to its later position. And these should be used to construct that thing. How are we going to build that though? We could use the stamping method that we used for it last time. Yes. And do it out one from there. Yes, I believe this should work. They're very specific shapes that are a lot easier to make than others, like this one. Oh, that's a problem though. Watch this slower than this extra one. I think I know how to fix that. There, now try. The one delay should help. In fact, it may keep it completely stable. Yes, now it works exactly as I intended. So that gets sent forward to its assembly area. And these get delayed because of how much delay is in that line now. And here, I'm going to have these be put into these positions by these conveyors after their delays. Like that. And then after that the body can be sent in. And then brought out that way. And the welders can easily be fitted here. It's as if I planned all of this, which I didn't. And after all of that, this can be routed to here, which is where this is going to be fitted. Or will it? No, instead we should have it be here. There. No, that blocks that. In that case... Oh, I know. Actually... Oh yes, that can act as a delay. So watch this. It's as if I planned this also, which I didn't. I need to add some. Also, the treads I saw were not doing very well. That's why. Oh, it's the welders. Like last time, I remember now. In that case... How do you resolve something like that? Well, logically I would need to remove this, but then that would never be fitted together. Let's actually just see how that would affect the build, so that perhaps we can come to a new solution. Just look at that, that never gets put on now. I do know one solution though. And that is, if instead of getting pushed out of the way into its next position by the last part, or by the next part, it gets put there some other way. This is more complicated than I was expecting it to be. Another idea. What if, instead of being on the top, these are on the side? Like they sometimes are. And the final one is only in place at the last moment. That might work. But when would that be activated becomes the new question. Oh, I know when. Right now. Or right here. There. Now this should work perfectly. And if I remove this delay, that should be the correct timing as well now. Which means we don't even need this area here anymore. We can just move directly to the exit. It only barely comes short. Oh, I know. What if this delay is moved one part ahead so that it... you'll see why I mean that now in one moment. Oh. Doesn't work the way I expected it to. In that case, I have a feeling I know exactly how this is going to need to be now. Since there's room for this here now that there wasn't before. Instead of having it be like this, I can have it be pushed on by this when it detects that it's ready for it. Actually, this needs to be placed slightly ahead of there to possibly here. Although now, I'm not sure if that delay would be too much for it. Oh, it's actually not. That's fine then. There. Now it's finished. Slightly more complicated than I would prefer, but that should be fine. Problem solved. And this one, which should be even more difficult. Oh yeah, look at this thing. Let's count the block types. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 block types, and arranged in a very awkward shape. Yeah. Fortunately, that's all we need to worry about. It could have been much worse. I'm going to end the episode here, though. Other episodes to record today.